Hi guys, I'm Bush Whatever here, back with another video, and for today, I'll be doing a new part of What If Deku was in Demon Slayer, or what if Deku had all the breath styles. I really hope you enjoyed this series, but with that out of the way, let's begin the story. We last left off when Izuku destroyed the Zero Pointers, or aka the Demon Zero Pointers. Which, yes, the Demon Zero Pointers. And Nezuko dealing with the score that she has to settle with Yui. But we see Izuku waking up from his bed with Nezuko hugging him. Izuku wake Nezuko up saying that Nezuko, time to wake up, time for school. Which Nezuko eventually wakes up and says, 5 more minutes, I want to hug you more. Which Izuku just says, come on Nezuko, we don't want to be late on our first day. Which Nezuko just says, fine. But she wakes up and basically saying that, but I'm not gonna like it. And pouting. Essentially that. Which eventually they go downstairs and eat. What they eat is a typical breakfast, like bacon and eggs, you could say. Or what else? Or pancakes. Either way, it's a typical breakfast for everybody. Which, yeah, it's a typical breakfast. Which mm, which Inko just says that I hope you I I hope for your first day you will be fine, Izuku. Which Izuku just says, don't worry, mom, I'm gonna be fine. Which Nezuko just says, it's alright, mom. It's if ever Izuku is in danger, I'm gonna protect him. Nezuko saying that with a smile on her face. And yeah, which eventually they take a bath. No, Nezuko, Izuku, Tanjiro, Kanao took a shower because they took a bath yesterday night. They took a shower and after that they went off to school. While they're going to school, they were talking about way for the past few weeks, or yeah, the past few weeks, yeah. And Nezuko just says it was actually quite fun. Do you agree to me, Tanjiro? Tanjiro just says, yeah, it's actually quite fun for the time being. It's quite fun when we are, not dealing with demons that often. Hashira, the typical Hashira stuff. Which, for me, for Izuku saying that, yeah, for me, it's actually quite fun more. Which, yeah. After that, eventually they arrive at school and they essentially go to class 1A. Which in class 1A, there is a because in every Hashira there is all the Hashiras in UA are vary in age. They're not only third years. They are not only second years. They're a mix from first years to third years, which in class 1A, you could see a yellow-haired boy and a person with a beautiful face, a beautiful face and a beast mask. Yes, you could say that. I know you guys are gonna say who this is, and I know you guys know this who this is. Which, yeah, they eventually arrive to their seats, but not disturbing everybody as such. Which Izuku, Nezuko, Tanjiro, and Kanao said to each other that we should not yeah, we shouldn't speak. I feel like there's someone here. Which they kept silent, and eventually Aizawa came in his caterpillar form. He eventually came in and said that if you want to make friends, you should leave UA. This is a hero school. Which, everybody was surprised when they saw Aizawa. Which Izuku just says, yep, that was the feeling that I was feeling. Which Aizawa just says, go to go to the field and put on your put on your P uniforms. Which almost walking out of the door, Mina saying that but we're gonna miss orientation. And Aizawa just says, I don't care. This is how I run my class, so deal with it. Which yeah, which eventually they went to the field, which luckily Minoru and Mineta wasn't in class 1A, and there wasn't no pervy stuff from Mineta, which is yeah, quite fun. Sorry about that, but yeah, it was quite pleasant, you could say. Which eventually they all arrived on the field, which Aizawa just says, Midoriya, you got first place. Throw this ball as far as you can with your quirk. Izuku wondering, okay, I might as well use it. Which Izuku summons his sword. Which, if you guys remember, Izuku can, let's just say, his quirk is to manipulate metal, so his sword was technically on him, but not really on him, you could say. Which he summons his quote unquote summon his sword and ready to slash. Izuku saying, using the blunt part of his sword, saying that water style, water wheel, and the ball with Izuku's physique as well as power and training. Izuku managed to throw the ball through about 100, no, 1,000 meters, or 1,000.69 meters, which everybody was shocked of it, including Bakugo, because in this one, Bakugo, if you might say that the timeline might change. Well, Bakugo was still a dick to Izuku, and I'm not gonna change that, and still said that, swan dive on a rooftop and stuff like that. But Izuku just that's the reason why Izuku was gone for too long, is because of Bakugo, and the thing that I did in the first part, which you should check out, please, to know more about the story. And yeah, so eventually they arrived to a I know, not arrived to a, sorry, my bad. They eventually stopped being shocked, and eventually their mouths began to shut, because yeah, they were bothered. And I'm really, shocked that Izuku, just using a sword and essentially smacking the ball, made that so far, which is quite a feat. Which Katsuki was a little bit pissed off, because yeah, who wouldn't be pissed off? Which I understand that. Which eventually they did the 50-meter dash, which Izuku was paired with the blonde-haired kid, as well as the guy with the beast mask, which Izuku began doing a stance, mimicking that of Thunderclap and Flash, which the yellow-haired guy noticed, which he was surprised and did did the stance as well, which Izuku when the bot said go, Izuku says, Thunderclap and Flash! Which he got to the end within 0.000001 second. You might be wondering, how is that possible? Well, speed of light. Lightning is I think in the speed of light, so yeah. I would think that Izuku would be at least equal to the speed of light. Which yeah, which closely behind him, which was the yellow-haired kid, and then the beast masked kid. Which the guy went to Izuku and says, "Did you use thunder breathing?" Which Izuku says, "Oh yeah, I used it. Why did you ask?" This the yellow-haired guy said that, well, because you use water breathing first, then thunder breathing. Are you a multi-breath user? Which Ichigo just says, you could say that, but let's just say that, please. By the way, what's your name? Which the yellow-haired guy just says, oh, my name's Zenitsu Jr. which he was surprised because Zenitsu's this his great 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 grandchild is this. It is quite surprising, to be fair. Um which Izuku just, do you know the kid with the beast mask? Which Zenitsu Jr. said that, oh, that's Inosuke Jr., which Izuku was perplexed. And yeah, because they met their Izuku met their essentially ancestor, meaning yeah, a lot of fun. Which Izuku went to Inosuke Jr., which I'm gonna be calling them without their junior, just Zenitsu Inosuke, like that, okay? So yeah. So he went after talking to Zenitsu, Izuku went to Inosuke and asked him, "Can I see your face, please, Inosuke?" Which Inosuke just says, sure." Which this Inosuke isn't, hot headed like their ancestor. Essentially, Inosuke is just like a typical, uh, yeah, more of a typical guy when he's not fighting. And Zenitsu Jr. was a coward that can, yeah, he wasn't a coward. Which it was quite funny when Zenitsu was in his coward state in the anime, which is quite hilarious. But yeah, which when Inosuke pulled off his mask, Izuku saw a beautiful face, which Izuku just says, like ancestor, great ancestor, like grandson, huh? He always wears a mask though. Same. Which Inosuke catching that, saying that, wait, what do you mean by ancestor? Which Izuku just says, oh, well, it's hard to explain really, but I met your ancestors before. Which Inosuke was perplexed and said that, which ancestor though? Oh, Izuku just says, oh, I met Inosuke, the beast pillar from way back then. Which Inosuke just pulls out his double swords and said that you're lying. You're absolutely lying. How can you live when you're how can you be here if you were there back then? Which Izuku just says, well, believe what you want. Which is while Izuku saying that, Izuku unsheathing his sword, saying that believe what you want, but I'm saying the truth. It's on you if you don't want to believe it. Which what happens is that Inosuke used beast breathing and moved forward, and Izuku says, okay. Izuku just says that Izuku said, thunder style, thunderclap and flash. Which Izuku moving around so fast, and yeah, it's really really fast, really, and I mean really really fast, and actually hitting Inosuke, which Zenitsu was watching and actually heard a few of it, because him gaining the ability of his ancestor that is super hearing. And yeah, let's just say Zenitsu and Inosuke team up, which Zenitsu just says, do you need help, Inosuke? Inosuke just says, well, yeah, I need help, thanks. Which Izuku just says, oh, so you're gonna fight me as well, Zenitsu? Which which Zenitsu just, well, yeah, well, obviously, because I need my friend needs help, might as well. Which Izuku began doing a stance, and them as well doing the stance. Which Zenitsu used Thunderclap and Flash really fast, and Izuku, being the boss that he is, used Water Wheel, and Water Wheel first, and really, and I mean not, and he actually quite did so elegantly, and I mean really elegantly. Which yeah, which let's just say that a lot of them were quite surprised that he can do, as I said before, two breath styles, which are quite surprising. But Izuku just says, okay, I think I need to be serious in this one. Which Izuku uses moon breathing first form, Dark Moon Evening Palace, which Izuku quickly draws his sword and slashes swiftly in a singular horizontal motion in a crescent shape, creating a numerous chaotic crescent blades, which which everybody was quite shocked, and I mean really shocked that he can do three styles, not just one, but three, and he's really surprised. They're really surprised and says, How can you, how can you use three styles?" Izuku just says, "As I said before, Zenitsu, I'm a multi-breath user, and you could find out what I did." Which eventually, Tanjiro stepped in. If you might be wondering where Tanjiro was, well, he went to the bathroom with let's just say with Kanao, which Nezuko was a little bit tired, so she fell asleep a little bit and was woken up by the Izuku saying moon breathing, which Nezuko went to Izuku's side as well as Tanjiro, and they just said that what's happening here, which Izuku just we're just having a little spar. Isn't that right, Zenitsu? Which Tanjiro was really shocked and was about to ask, and Izuku just says, "That's their great grandson, Tanjiro. That's their, let's just say, grandchild. A lot of great grandchild, you could say. Their names are Inosuke Jr. as well as Zenitsu Jr." Which, yeah, is it? Tanjiro just says, "Oh, okay. That's quite weird, you could say." Which Zenitsu just adds, "And who are you?" Which Tanjiro just says that, "Well, my name is Tanjiro Kamado." And let's just say that, and they ask Nezuko, which Nezuko just says, "My name is Nezuko Midoriya." Which Tanjiro was quite surprised that Nezuko actually said Izuku's last name, which was quite hilarious, you could say. And yeah, which what happens is that Izuku eventually the sparring was cut to an end, which luckily nobody got hurt that badly, which everybody did. If you might be wondering, why didn't Aizawa do this? Because first off, if you seen the last part, you would understand why. Because I don't want to ruin the spoilers, but Zenitsu and Inosuke are both special, you could say. Which Inosuke says, "Okay, so sorry for doing that, but it's really quite weird that that you could say that you essentially met our ancestor." Which Izuku just says, "Well, I'm not lying, but it's your choice if you want to believe it or not." Which eventually they continued to do the exam, you could say, the test, the Quirk apprehension test, yeah. Which uh Izuku got first place. Nezuko got, I could say, second place because of her blood demon art as well, which is quite useful. Tanjiro getting third place, which actually tying with Nezuko there. They tied for second place, and Kanao having being fourth place, but in actuality third, which quite surprising. Yeah, you could say that. Which after that, they eventually went to. After that, before they could, exit the door, Bakugo just says, "Deku, how can you be better than me?" Which Izuku just says, here we go again. Izuku just immediately, and I mean immediately, sidestepping and karate chopping Katsuki's head, karate chopping Katsuki's nape, yeah, nape, sorry, karate chopping Katsuki's nape, and actually knocking him out. Which Izuku just says, "Zenitsu, Inosuke, can you help me with with Katsuki here? Can we bring him to the infirmary, please?" Which they just agree and went to the infirmary. Nezuko following suit. Which when they arrived to the to the to the Medbay area, you could say. Yeah, the nurse office. There are actually two people there. One being recovery girl, and the other being let's just say that's a secret for now. That's a secret before I say it. But when they arrived there, the girl asked, saying that the girl with a butterfly pin asked, saying that, oh, so what happened? Which Izuku explained that, well, this happened. He rushed forward, and me using my reflexes actually knocked him out. Which this girl looked back and saw Zenitsu and Inosuke nod in agreement to that. Which Izuku just looks at her face and says that, you remind me of someone I really know dear, and it's quite a tsundere, you could say. Which she just puffs her cheek and says, so she puffs her cheeks, not that much, but not it's still noticeable to but yeah, it's still noticeable, but she having a tick mark on her head and saying that, are you related to, I don't know, the ins the insect pillar? Or you could say, are you the great 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 granddaughter of are you the great great granddaughter of Shinobu Kocho? Which she having a stance and about to attack Izuku, which Zenitsu and Inosuke says, come Shinobu, come on. He knows. I think this is the guy that you were talking about earlier. The guy with a lot of breath using, you can say. This is the guy. The guy that's the legendary swords, the legendary breath user, the 15th pillar, which which she just says, "Oh, sorry about that." I was just quite surprised because some people are quite of a stalker, so sorry about that, Kamene. Which Izuku just says, it's fine, no harm, no foul." Which Izuku just says, "I'm gonna leave Katsuki here, which I hope you can treat him well." Which Shinobu just says that it's fine, you can leave. Which after meeting up with Tanjiro and Kano, because Nezuko was already there with them, with Izuku, they went home and they actually talked about what happened. Which Izuku explains everything to Nezuko and Tanjiro, what happened, and they said that, well, we would do the same thing because, yeah, a lot of stalkers, you could say, Izuku. Am I correct? Izuku just says, yeah, that's right. Which eventually them arriving home to the estate, and actually go after that going to Inko and having dinner with her. Which eventually after that they took a bath. Nezuko and Tanjiro taking a bath together. No, Nezuko and Izuku taking a bath together, and Tanjiro and Kano taking a bath together. Which eventually nothing got really heated, you could say, but they talked about how life has been since they left the timeline. Which Izuku just says, well, I think it's pretty wholesome, you could say. Which, yeah, eventually after they take a bath, they went to their beds. Nezuko cuddling up to Izuku, and Nezuko just says, "I love you, my lovely Izuku," and body pillow. Which Izuku just chuckles and says, "I love you too, Nezuko." Eventually, and they sleep. I really hope you guys enjoy this series. And yeah, that's where I'm gonna be leaving off, guys. That's where I'm gonna leaving it off. I really hope you guys enjoy the series. But like I always say, like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys later. Bye!